But now we're moving back to the Wairarapa and we are talking to Alistair Plimmer. Good afternoon, Alistair.
Hi, Tina. How are you?
I'm very good. So just as to declare, I wouldn't call them conflicts, but interests, Alistair is standing as a candidate for the Greater Wellington Regional Council. Despite the fact that we have the largest landmass, we only have one representative in the Wairarapa on Greater Wellington, and I have worked with Alistair on the district plan. And I would have to say that Alistair is one of those people who is diligent and logical. So I'd like to welcome you, Alistair, and tell me what made you change from representing South Wairarapa to moving into that regional council space, or looking to move into that regional council space?
Well, thanks for that introduction, Tina. Very kind of you to say so. Look, I went on to the district council with a couple of things I wished to achieve, and I laid those out very clearly when I stood for election. I've achieved those particular issues that I wanted to do. And I was actually going to stand down and move away from council work. But as you rightly said, having worked on the combined district plan for the Wairarapa, it became very clear to me that the regional council has become more of a block than an enabler to development in the district. And I think we need to do something about that.
Right. So what are your suggestions, and when you get in there, what are the things that you want to see changed?
Well, I think the big thing for me really across the district plan, the way that it's come across the district plan, is that there just seems to be a very big disconnect between the aspirations and desires of the people of the Wairarapa compared to the bureaucratic nonsense that comes out of Wellington and makes development in the Wairarapa difficult.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd have to say, even during the development of the district plan, it always made me puzzled, and I think you probably were a bit like that too, was there wasn't a great deal of interface between the district plan team and Greater Wellington.
Look, I don't know what went on behind the scenes with the officers, but certainly during the hearings, it was being very clear to me, and probably to my other panel members, that the submissions by the regional council just weren't based on any logical understanding of the Wairarapa.
Wow. I mean, I haven't kept a close eye on hearings, but in some respects it doesn't surprise me because they were divorced from the process in a lot of ways. And I mean, that's probably a mechanic of the district plan. But and I know I certainly wanted to see them more involved with that. But what are the big issues that are affecting the likes of the rural community there that Greater Wellington is not doing well in the Wairarapa?
To me, there are probably three major things that are affecting us that are directly in the world of the regional council. The first is the management of our rivers. Mm-hmm. You don't have to look very far to see how a badly managed river is. You look at the Hutt River, the stop banks are almost higher than the houses they're protecting.
I saw that today coming in. There's some rocks and I'm not too sure whether they're there permanently or whether they're being used for another stop bank. But I thought, holy hell, it's like a mountain.
Yeah, well, the regional council has reduced the take of metal out of our rivers in the last few years by almost 50%. Mm. That's madness, because that's now driving us to build quarries and dig up farmland so that we can get the metal for our development here.
Yeah.
And it, if you leave the metal in the river, it raises the riverbed. You end up with bigger floods. To protect it, you need to build bigger stop banks and so on and so forth. It's just a merry-go-round of stupidity, as far as I can tell. Mm-hmm. And I have a little bit of background in this, because when I was with the general manager at Oldfields, we managed these rivers on behalf of the community for a long time. Mm-hmm. So this is not anything new. The second thing really is that some of the rules that are coming out of the regional council are very much ideological based and are having a direct impact on our farming. For example, the need to fence off some of our waterways, which were literally built to get stock water to stock. One of my neighbours where I live has almost 10 kilometres of water races going through his property.
Wow.
If you were to fence that off, and 5 metres on either side of that water race, well, you do the math. That's a hell of a lot of land taken out of production, and a massive cost to fence it off. Yeah. Massive. And the third area, of course, dare we say it, is our trains and our connections. Look, I totally understand that trains break down. I totally understand you need to fix the railway and so on and so forth. You can't fix that overnight, but you can fix management. You can fix staffing problems. And I've got to say that I don't think the regional council is holding their contractor to account for bad staffing decisions.
No, and I'd have to agree with you on that, Alistair. It actually was a subject yesterday to come up at my birthday party, which is rather unusual. But and it was just the fact that what is the governance of Greater Wellington over its contractors in terms of delivery, and where were the assurances or not? Well, obviously there weren't any assurances, and there was no contracting around making sure that you had enough staff to man the trains that had the qualifications. And so there is definitely a fault with Greater Wellington, is the way I can see it, is because they weren't keeping a close eye on just exactly how things were rolling out.
I agree with you. It is Greater Wellington's contract. Transdev is their contractor, and it behoves the Wellington Regional Council to hold their contractor to account for their management decisions.
It's a bit like Wellington Water in a lot of ways. It's like the people who are in charge of the governance of these contracts don't have the competency to actually understand what those contracts mean in reality. And I think that's one of those issues around competency that you don't always get with regional council appointees, or elected members. So what experience are you going to bring to the table for the regional council that could address some of those issues?
Well, look, I've had a background in the Army for 20 years as an Army officer, well trained in infrastructural issues, logistics, transport issues, operational issues. So I understand how to run logistics. Yep. I'm a reasonably outspoken, loud, strong personality, and you've seen that over the last 6 years. Yep. I don't shy away from confronting issues, So I think we need a stronger voice around the table, and we need to challenge people and say that's not good enough. Where's your Wairarapa lens on the decisions you're trying to make?
And do you think it's fair that we only have do you think it's fair that we only have one representative?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Look, we have almost half the land mass. Yeah. And if you look at the logical issue of the Wellington Regional Council, which is there to dictate how land use is, well, having one out of 14 councillors doesn't really give you an equitable voice, I would have thought. Yeah.
Now, I think there's certainly been talk of me standing for regional council, and I'm not interested. And I know that you will have to put a fair bit of money in even to run a campaign. I think a lot of people don't understand that. There is quite a cost to running a campaign. But I did say to someone the other day that if I did stand, I'd be standing on I'd probably put up a billboard saying I'm the turkey who's voting for Christmas, because I want to see the end of regional councils in their current form. And I'm a wholehearted reformist, and I suppose that has a lot to do with the fact that you sit on a district plan and realise the disconnect between everybody. So what's your views on the government's clear intention to change local government, the face or the structure of local government?